Some of my attentive listeners have taken issue with my claim that the human taste in software engineering will not save the jobs in the software industry from the approaching artificial general intelligence, or AGI. I still stand by that statement because I do not believe that people are prepared to pay hard cash year after year for something that is as poorly defined as the taste in software engineering, and the moment somebody finds a way to define it more precisely, somebody else will find a way to automate it very soon. What I did not say, although some people thought I did, was that the AI will take away all software jobs one way or the other. I think the answer to this question is far more nuanced, and in order to provide it justice, I will draw an analogy between the future trajectory of software engineering and the historic trajectory of commercial aviation. All analogies are wrong in some respect, but they are often illuminating. Starting with the taste in aircraft design, it is interesting to note how important it was in the past. There was an unspoken consensus among the aircraft designers that an elegantly looking aircraft was more aerodynamically efficient than an ugly one. It flied higher and faster, consumed less fuel, and so on. It is difficult to say where exactly this idea came from, but it was hard to disprove it because, in the past, it was very difficult to model real aerodynamics of an airframe without actually building one, and aircraft designers did not have much money for that kind of experimentation. Speaking of money, it was definitely easier to sell an elegant aircraft design to an investor, and the investors in the old times could afford to have a good taste, so this uniquely human notion of design elegance did solve a considerable part of the overall optimization problem of creating a commercially viable aircraft. It was not until the dawn of the 21st century that the advanced modeling and simulation tools allowed to take the designer's taste out of the equation of the aircraft design and make it entirely data-driven. So, if you ever wondered why the aircraft of the olden days looked much more beautiful than today, here is your answer. I will, if I may, point out one very interesting exception here. Notice how the wings of the aircraft built in the last 10 years gently arch upward towards the tip of the wing. Whether the aircraft designers of the past would call it elegant, I do not know, but what is certain is that they would never be able to afford the incredible expense of the tooling and machinery required to build such a wing, so nobody even considered such a design in the past. Yet another point for the simulation tools that they allowed to prove based on the data that the crazy investment needed to build such a wing will more than pay off in fuel efficiency. I think this is a fitting example for the point that I made in the earlier episode when I said that machines will manage to come up with their own ideas of elegance while humans will be mere bystanders. The same fate awaits the elegance in software engineering, in my opinion. Now for the good news. For a few years now, the modern aircraft autopilot could fully replace human pilots for most routine in-flight operations, even including landing at airports equipped with auto-land capability. Yet, most national airline regulators require 2 well-rested pilots on deck of any large commercial passenger flight. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency, the only regulatory body to seriously consider the certification of single-pilot operations for large commercial aircraft, after a multi-year study, put all of its single pilot work on hold in the middle of 2025, with little intention to reopen the subject, according to some experts, for at least another decade. Why is that? There are two reasons that have direct parallels with the software industry. First, the proverbial edge case. The modern AI, just like the aircraft autopilot, performs much better than a highly skilled human only within a certain operational envelope. When the real-world scenario takes the system outside the edge of that envelope, we must rely on the human judgment and ability to generalize from prior experience to previously unseen problems. We expect the future AGI to be able to address the generalization problem, but we are still nowhere near actually observing any realistic generalization capability in any of the modern AI systems. Any CEO of a large organization claiming they will not need any software engineers in a year or two most likely grossly underestimates the number of possible edge cases their company's software systems can exhibit. There is a second reason to keep two pilots on deck of a commercial flight, and that is legal personhood. A pilot is a legal person that can be found guilty if his or her decision caused bodily harm or property damage. Our today's legal framework is nowhere near granting legal personhood to a machine. I may be completely wrong, but I do not see this civilization coming to any sensible consensus for at least another decade on how we can legally prosecute and punish a misbehaving machine, let alone convincing the general public that the proposed punishment, whatever it may end up being, is morally just and provides an adequate consolation and recompense to the offended party. When somebody's child is hurt, the fundamental job of the entire legal system is to convince the parent that the punishment bestowed on the offender is adequate and that the parent does not have to take justice in his own hands and resort to a bloody vendetta. When the legal system cannot provide such consolation reliably and consistently, the entire society eventually descends into a violent chaos. Until we agree on what is an acceptable punishment for a machine, a human person will have to remain the ultimate legal person. But this is not yet good news for a human software developer. There is a little clause that might have painted the entire software industry into a corner. That clause is the software warranty, which is perhaps more accurately described as anything but. The sole purpose of the ever-lengthening terms and conditions that you and I have to accept every time we upgrade our iPhones is to convince the court that the software developer is liable for nothing that the software does. If software companies keep on avoiding legal personhood so diligently, does it make it easier to replace them with AI altogether, even with AI that has no acceptably legal personhood? But will the consumer be ready to accept that there will be no legal recourse in principle because there is nobody there left to prosecute even when AI starts hurting people? Or maybe a new breed of a software company emerges that stands by its software and says, we have humans who take legal responsibility for the quality of our software. We understand that no software can work correctly in any possible case, but we believe we have done enough to test our code in every reasonably practical scenario, and we are prepared to defend this claim in court. We may hope that when this happens, the quality assurance, or QA, will stop being the lowest paid job in software engineering.